Chris, you're on very thin ice because I have your account blocked. So what would you like to say, Chris?
I'm on thin ice. What have I done?
Oh, it's you again. Oh, you're definitely going. Goodbye.
Why? What have I done?
Bye. Okay, we're done. These people are pathological liars. What? Why? What have I done? He knows full well what he's done.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Welcome. How old are you, and are you an atheist?
Am I atheist?
How old are you, and are you an atheist?
I'm 23 and I'm not an atheist.
What are you?
Does it matter? Because I just have a question about...
Yeah, what matters is I'll ask you the question one more time. If you choose not to answer, I'm going to kick you out.
Yeah, okay, you can kick me, but I just have a question.
Goodbye, loser. Bye, yeah. See, my advice to my fellow Christian apologists is don't waste your time on people who make it abundantly clear right away that they're going to be uncooperative.
I mean, yeah, I don't really get really, intelligent people in my life, so I don't bother wasting my time. Just kick them.
Yeah, if you troll in the text, you're going to get muted.
Why is he, he said he knows, he literally said Darth Dawkins is a liar.
About what?
And then he joins that scene.
About what?
He's acting like he doesn't know.
How am I a liar?
I don't know.
Yeah, they're full of crap. Look, these people are, for the most part, they have mental issues. They have mental problems. They clearly do. Because if they were really sincere, right, when you start asking them questions from a Christian apologetic standpoint, that we know that they can't answer, that undermines their position, then they just start lying and rabbit trailing and dodging and obfuscating. Well, that's the dead giveaway that these people are fundamentally dishonest. And if they're so fundamentally dishonest, when we're not dealing about, let's say, a tangible issue, when we're just dealing about metaphysics, then they have mental problems.
Yeah.
No, 2 Corinthians is not talking about astral projections. That's stupid.
I have people on here, and I don't know why it's such a common thing. They'll just either say it's they'll say, I don't agree with Christianity, and I'll say why, and then they'll say, well, the burden of proof is on you because you said that's true, but the whole point is... Yeah,
yeah.
There's no reason to reject something.
Right then and there, they're doing atheological apologetics. Okay, have you read that paper?
I think you told me about it.
Yeah, you should read that. Atheological apologetics.
I'll give it a read.
Send me a DM and I'll send you a link to it later on today. My highlighted version of it.
Have you guys responded to the Alex Malpass's thing? It was about you and tag in general.
Oh yeah, he's completely misrepresenting tag. I've debated with him 8 or 9 times. He failed miserably every time that I talk with him. Okay.
Yeah,
and he should know better because he has Van Til's apologetic. He actually has a hard copy of it.
Typically, I don't really run tag too much. I run stuff like modal epistemological arguments.
Then why stop with the fact that they don't have objective grounds for morals? How about they don't have objective grounds for anything?
No. I mean, I think it's just because I typically don't take people on TikTok. I don't think are majority are very well acquainted with philosophy.
Well,
so I just do stuff like morals, and then
you need to confront them with their irrational worldview. Okay.
Yeah.
Paul says in 2 Corinthians 10, verse 5, he says, we are destroying all speculations and every lofty thing that raises itself above and against the knowledge of God, bringing all thoughts into the captivity of Christ. Excuse me, I have hiccups. So their lofty thinking is a figment of their imagination, that they can think and move and breathe in a world without reference to the necessity of God. Romans 1 says the same thing. Ever since the beginning of the creation of the world, God's eternal powers, his divine nature, have been clearly seen through everything that has been made, so that men are without a defense. Well, if they're without a defense, then you just need to push the antithesis. Say, good, you deny that God hasn't revealed himself. Say, good, then how is your worldview coherent at all? Yeah. And whatever comes out of their mouth will not be a rational defense. See, Paul's very succinct about this. He says, they are without a defense when they deny God. Whatever comes out of their mouth as a justification or a rationalization for denying that the triune God has revealed himself in creation and through the prophets and through Christ codified in the Bible says they are without a defense. So what we need to do is we then destroy their speculations according to 2 Corinthians chapter 10. Say, good, you have nothing to go on. Right, and notice what
K star in the chat. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so when they say the burden of proof are on you, 99.9% of the time they're bastardizing the statement that you're shifting the burden of proof because we're not.
I mean, yeah, they don't understand. Like,
no, they don't.
And it's really like it cringes me out because they don't understand how proof theory works. It's going to depend on what system you're working under. Not all systems are going to be like agreeing with each other. So if I get proof under what my system is, what like outputs proof, they might just say, "Oh, well, I just don't accept it because I don't hold to that system." So I think that's why epistemology is better than like.
Yeah, you're ignorant, Chris. Chris, in the audience, you're not coming up, and you're also ignorant. What you're invoking is called atheological apologetics, and what atheological apologetics is that you're coming to the table, smuggling in your atheism without being transparent about it. And then after we give a positive representation for the Christian worldview, and you respond and we ask you to defend that, then you go, well, you're shifting the burden of proof. The very statement that you make that we're shifting the burden of proof, you're literally attempting to shifting your responsibility from giving an account of justifying your denial of the Christian worldview. You see, they're going to try to represent themselves as simply being some kind of quasi-neutral, or that they're just unconvinced, and we're the ones who are making a unilateral positive claim. But that's simply not the case, because what we have are two conflicting models of reality. We have the God-dependent world versus the God-independent world. We have the world where God is self-revealing, and we have a world where they're not in a revelatory environment. So what we have here is a conflict of both worldviews, and we both have to talk about and give reasons why one is rational over the other. So the reason why they're invoking and deploying the cliche, you're shifting the burden of proof, is because they're trying to absolve themselves of explaining their position, because they can't. They just want to cast their position as though it's a state of incredulity, rather than it's a comprehensive worldview that stands in opposition and negation to the Christian worldview. So, yeah, there's no word salad here. The fact that you might have a junior high school mentality, and I'm speaking at a higher level, does not make it a word salad. Why don't you come up and you tell me what you don't understand? Okay. Oh, that's right. You were trolling before.
By the way,
yeah, come on up.
The K-star person is the same one that said logic is just going to be self-evident.
No, that's absurd.
So that's just
how is something that's universal, that's typified as universal, how's that self-evident? Come on up, Kay. Tell me what you don't understand. I'll be glad to explain to you the word salad. Come on up, Kay.
This problem literally was addressed in very early.
Yeah, Kay's not coming up.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're muted, Kay, because you're just being a drive-by heckler and troll. So you're muted. Oh, look at that! He has a satanic star. He has a satanic star next to his name. What a surprise!
Yeah, they're probably not even a Satanist either. They just want to get people mad.
No, they have arrested development.
Yeah.
You know, most of these people that you're going to run to, they have arrested development, they're immature, and they have mental and emotional and behavioral problems. And this is why they adopt atheism.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go in about 10 minutes or so. Thank you for bringing me up again to confront these irrational people.
No problem, bro.
Yeah.
If you ever want to join, you can request. The only time I think I didn't add you up last time was because the guest like just hated you or something. There's no point.
Oh, come on. Nobody hates me. Everybody loves me.
Yeah, all the atheists love Darth.
Yeah.
I think you might actually be like the number one hated person in like the
Oh,
atheist
you know what? You had to go and spoil my day, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay, now you're getting blocked.
Oh my gosh.
Oh gosh. Well, that's because I hold their feet to the fire. You know, I'm exposing their utter irrationality, and they don't like it.
I noticed one thing, like, I mean, I don't watch a lot of TikTok lives anyway, but sometimes, like, when you're on, especially now, like, not many atheists join your lives, but
They're
then I'll see like the
afraid.
atheists join like you.
They are afraid of me. All of the atheist TikTok streamers are afraid. What's that, Swedish?
I say that's a bit of irony.
Yeah, we're not doing stand-up comedy here. Okay, so talk normally, or you're going to get kicked.
Okay, I speak in my Swedish accent.
Okay, goodbye. Goodbye.
Why are you such a coward? You mad?
Bye. Bye.
Oh my gosh.
Hello.
Welcome. Are you an atheist, and how old are you?
I am an atheist and I'm 40.
Okay, can you tell me why there's no God?
Well, because we have no substantial proof of God.
Okay, so you understand what we have here is a conflict between two models of reality. We have the God-dependent world versus the God-independent world. Do you understand that before we move on?
Yes.
Okay, so your criterion to accept a worldview is that you must have proof for it? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
And are you operating from the God-independent world?
I am.
Good. What is the proof of the God-independent world?
What is the proof of the God-dependent world?
No, that's a dodge right there. We don't allow dodging on this stream. So I will ask you the question again. It's a reasonable question. You told me that you have a criterion of belief in order to accept a worldview that you must have proof for it. You accept the God-independent world, correct?
I do.
Good. What is your proof for it?
The Big Bang.
Okay, no, that's a non sequitur. First of all, the Big Bang is simply a materialistic model. It's not a discovery. Okay, and do you know who William Lane Craig is?
No.
Okay, he is one of the world's preeminent Christian apologists. He actually uses the Big Bang in a line of argument that he uses the Kalam cosmological argument to defend his version of God's existence. So invoking the Big Bang, even if the Big Bang were true, it wouldn't follow from that God doesn't exist. That's a non sequitur.
I don't think that's a non sequitur. I think that physics in itself.
Good. How does it logically and necessarily follow? Because if the world began from an explosion, right, how does it follow from that God doesn't exist?
Because there's no proof.
Yeah, you're just a dog chasing your tail at this point.
Wait, hold on. You're a Trinity person. Aletheistic logic and provability logic are two different things. If I say something hasn't been proven yet, or it's unlikely that it's provable, doesn't follow that therefore that thing doesn't exist. Yeah. So when he's asking you why doesn't God exist, you need to have an argument that
it's the same.
If you negate the proposition that God exists.
Let me ask you this question. Okay. Do you think that the Big Bang provides you with a not logically a necessary conclusion that God doesn't exist?
It does for me.
How?
Because physics came together to create everything.
Yeah, how does that demonstrate that God doesn't exist?
It demonstrates that there's not a need for God.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
When you say there's not a need for God, you're just repeating the same argument, okay, in different words. When you say there's no need for God, meaning the Big Bang exists with independence from God, how did you determine that the Big Bang and the universe exists with independence from God? Saying there's no need for God is the same thing as saying.
But all of this is a circular argument.
You're not listening.
Well,
to me,
neither are you.
I'm trying. No,
you're not letting me speak. You're
I'm quite educated on the subject. And
yeah,
I think
but you're monologuing right now.
Look,
and you're not giving me a chance
so
to
what you're
speak.
going to do now? See, this is what you atheists do all the time. When you get caught with your hand in the cookie jar,
No, I'm saying you're not giving me
please
a
do
chance
not
to speak at
interrupt me,
all.
or I'm going to have to mute or kick you. Okay.
Don't kick me because you're not going to let me speak anyways. Bye.
Okay. So once again, what we see is, okay, what we saw again was dodging, deflection, and then disruption. It's called the 3D strategy. Dodge, deflect, and then they go into disruption. I mean,
you said you were being circular, but you asked her a question. I don't know how questions can be.
Yeah, this is, you see, they have their own cliches. Oh, that's circular. Oh, you're shifting the bird. These are pre-memorized cliches that you could get a parrot to repeat. Rock, you're shifting the burden of proof. Polly wants a cracker. Right, you're being circular.
Yeah, no, it's like it feels like you're debating a zombie. I don't know.
Well, what's really sad is she was 40 years old and she was exercising the intellectual reasoning skills of a 15-year-old. Coop, welcome. Do you accept God as your creator, and how old are you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. How old are you, and are you an atheist?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm 20, and I'm an atheist. Did you want to pick up where we left off?
God?
Oh, do you want to pick up where we left last?
I said, can you tell me why there's no God?
Can I tell you? I just don't think there's reasoning for a God.
I already know that. Tell me why. Do you have a reason to believe in the God-independent world?
Do I have a reason to believe the God-dependent world?
No, the God-independent world. What's your rationale for that?
No, I guess I don't have one.
Okay,
do you have one? Do you have a rationale for the God-dependent world?
I'll get to that in a moment. But you see, you started off pretending that your atheism was rational, but you quickly demonstrated that your atheism is not rational. See, this is what people do who know that God exists. They know that the world exemplifies design and ultimate intentionality. And so what they do is, because they don't want to admit and acknowledge that they're in the God-dependent world who reveals himself through creation, you adopt its negation, the God-independent world, and you don't have anything rational for it. But you're pretending, oh, I would accept the God-dependent world if I had a good reason for it, but then you adopt the God-independent world without reason, which means you do realize that the world indicates God, but you don't want to accept that, so you adopt an irrational position. Have you adopted an irrational position of the God-independent world?
The world indicates God.
I didn't hear you.
I said, sure. How do you know the world indicates God?
Okay, you're dodging my question. I'll be glad to explain that momentarily. Okay, listen, if you're going to get argumentative, I'll kick you.
I'm not trying to do it. That's not me.
Okay, well, first of all, you keep on muffling your microphone. You got to keep your mic near your. Okay, so the point is this. You have given us a rationale that you would have to be fulfilled in order to believe in the God-dependent world, but you throw that criterion away when you adopt the God-independent world. Do you realize you're doing that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, and the only reason why somebody would do something like that is because they realize deep in their heart that the world does reveal God. Why would you adopt an irrational stance? Okay.
Well,
so,
I don't. Oh, can I talk?
Yeah, you can't pull the incredulity card. Either you're going to accept that the world is emblematic of ultimate design and intentionality, or the world is not emblematic of ultimate design and intentionality. Do you take that position that the world does not exemplify ultimate design and intentionality?
Yeah, because there's not reasoning for the contrary.
Okay, good. So what's your argument for that the world exemplifies something other than ultimate design?
I mean, I would just say it's natural.
Right. No, I understand that's the classification. I'm asking you, what's your rationale behind that?
My rationale for why it's natural.
Yeah, that the world is just natural and it doesn't exemplify ultimate design. What's the rationale for that?
Well, I think that it would be logical for these naturalistic explanations to come before.
Yeah, you're just making this stuff up as you go along. You see, you're at a big disadvantage.
Well, sorry.
Yeah, you're at a big disadvantage because I've been debating atheists for 15 years.
Well, you've really only said I'm wrong and that you're right, not really why you're right.
Well, first of all, we haven't finished. you explaining why your atheism is rational. And what you're doing is classically what atheists do. Rather than admit that your atheism is absolutely bankrupt and irrational, then I can proceed to explain to you why God exists, leaving you no recourse to say, nah, bro. But we haven't.
My irrational.
Hey, listen carefully. We haven't finished talking about your rationale for atheism. Is your atheism rational?
To me, is it rational? Yes.
Okay.
To you, probably
What's
not.
the rational basis that God doesn't exist?
The rational basis that God doesn't exist? I mean, I don't know. What's the rational basis that God doesn't exist?
So you don't know. So are you admitting that your atheism is irrational?
No, Darth, honestly, I'm just not
Hey, listen,
presenting
I'm
my worldview.
63 years old. I don't put
know.
up with teenage responses. If you're
I'm
just going
being very rude
to
and
bicker with,
obnoxious.
okay, have a nice day. Goodbye.
Can we converse?
Bye. No, bye. See, here we go again. The 3D strategy: dodge, deflect, disruption, dodge, deflect, disruption. I talk about the evidence for God on a regular basis, on a daily basis. I did so earlier. Okay? But we hadn't finished. Notice once again, when they fail miserably, they try to go, well, the burden's on you. Well, no, the burden's on both of us. And one second he admits he has no rationale for the God-independent world, but then he won't admit that his advocacy of the God-independent world is irrational.
Yeah, because they're just going to say they're going to keep their position incomplete, whether it's right or wrong.
Yeah, what they do is
as soon as they go, if we give the substantiation for God existing, they're just going to say, "Oh, well, I won't accept that because I don't believe He exists."
Yeah,
so.
it's called nah broism. Nah bro.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
yeah. Welcome, Kay. You're an atheist, and how old are you?
Is self-evident.
Oh, sorry, you guys talked at the same time. Couldn't let you guys go one at a time.
I said, welcome, Kay. I said, how old are you, and are you an atheist?
Yeah, I'm 19 and I am an atheist.
Good. Can you tell me why there's no God? And this is a non-dodge zone.
Yeah, sure, right. I do reject the notion of a God because I am a naturalist and I don't believe the supernatural exists. And God is defined as something that's supernatural. So because of that, I don't believe He exists.
Yeah, I already know that that's what your position. 99.9% of all atheists are naturalists or materialists. So tell me why that's true.
Why my naturalism is true?
Yeah, since most atheists are naturalists or materialists, you telling me you're a naturalist and that entails that God exists? Well, duh. Of course, yeah. Of course.
So that's my reason.
You haven't explained to me why naturalism is true.
Yeah, that naturalism is true because supernaturalism doesn't exist.
How old are you?
19.
Okay, so when you say naturalism is true because the supernatural, all you're just simply doing is repeating the same thing in different words. Do you realize that's what you've done?
That's not what I've done, right? I've defined what it means to be.
Dude, listen to me. I'm 3 times your age.
Womp womp.
I know I'm a little bit more educated on basic
I
stuff.
doubt that.
Okay, goodbye. You're done.
Bye, old man.
Okay, yeah. See, right then there. Okay, you see, this is the cafeteria table style of debating.
Yeah.
Well, naturalism is true because the supernatural doesn't exist. How do you know the supernatural doesn't exist? Because naturalism is true. How is naturalism true? Because the supernatural doesn't exist.
That's the fallacy called denying the antecedent. Just because proposition A might be true or false doesn't mean that it's necessarily proposition B that's true.
No, he's being entirely
saying that
he's being entirely circular. Okay,
Yeah.
Naturalism is true because there's no supernatural. Okay, how do you know there's no supernatural? Well, because naturalism is true. That's a dog chasing its tail.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even see how they ever substantiate it being true. To me, it's always them just saying it's self-evident or it's believed to be coherent or something like that. But those just constitute the model of which they already believe. So they're just appealing to, I believe it's this case. Therefore, any other case that doesn't hold to my belief is wrong. It's just really cringy.
Yeah, even when you confront them and you show them a mirror image of what they said is entirely irrational. They don't care. They just dodge, deflect, dodge, deflect, dodge, deflect, and then they become disruptive. Don't forget that. It's called the 3D strategy. Dodge, deflect, and then disruption.
Is that self-authored, or is that like an actual thing? I've never heard that.
No, I came up with it after dealing with atheists for 15 years. This is a pattern of conduct that they do. Dodge, deflect, and then when they feel that they can no longer get away with dodging and deflection, then they become disruptive.
Yeah.
And then when you call them out for being disruptive, they say that you're the disruptive one.
Yeah, they always try to gaslight, or like not all of them, but a lot of them on TikTok. They always try to gaslight you.
Many of them are pathological liars because they can do that without consequence on TikTok. If they were professional people, they would be more circumspect about pathologically lying for fear that they would harm their reputation.
Are you professional, Darth?
Yeah, goodbye, Chris.
Hey.
Did he change his profile just to join?
It's another profile, yeah.
Oh my gosh, they're desperate.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to drop down, but look for me a little while later in the guest requests, okay? But
Yeah, I mean, if I'm live later, yeah.
okay, thanks for having me up again. I'll be back in a little bit.
No best, bro.
What's up? I'm 18, turned 18 2 weeks ago for TikTok. Anyways,
You are 18 or you're turning 18?
I'm 18.